This right here, this is the moment, the incident, the reaction that poured gasoline on a fire that was already burning out of control in the world of women's basketball. You have a hard foul, a physical altercation, and then you have this. Two WNBA legends, Sue Bird and Tina Charles, just laughing about an incident that sent Caitlin Clark to the floor. This single moment on a podcast has kicked off a massive backlash and has the whole basketball world asking a really serious question. Is it time for Caitlin Clark to send the biggest message she can and boycott Team USA? The feeling of disrespect, the dismissiveness, the sense that the old guard isn't just hazing the new superstar, but is actually enjoying her struggles. It's all come to a breaking point. And now with Sue Bird being such a majorly influenced figure in USA basketball, the calls for a boycott are only getting louder. This isn't just about one foul anymore. This is about respect, the future of the league, and whether Caitlin Clark needs to stand up to the very establishment that a lot of people feel is trying to tear her down. So let's get right into what happened, right? On June 17th, a game between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun, things got intense. Caden Clark and J.C. Sheldon got tangled up. There was an eye poke, a shove, and the whole thing turned into a chaotic scene that ended in technical fouls and flagrant one. Fast forward a few weeks on Sue Bird's podcast, which we'll get to in a minute, called Bird Eyes View, she and Tina Charles, who was right there on the court for the incident, decided to talk about it. But they didn't really break it down without any kind of seriousness. They laughed. Charles talked about telling Clark to chill out, quote unquote, watch yourself, while Bird admitted she was in tears from laughing about it all. That laughter, that brushing off a moment that fans saw as aggressive and genuinely dangerous, is really the heart of the issue. For a lot of people, it felt like a slap in the face. I know it felt like a slap in the face to me, not just to Clark, but to everyone who sees her as the future of the sport. Fans on social media absolutely erupted, calling them two-faced and accusing them of Clark using Clark for clicks while downplaying what she's dealing with on the court. And I gotta say, a lot of these individuals that give backlash and talk trash about Caitlin Clark, of course they're using them for clicks, and I feel like they using Caitlin Clark to stay relevant. You got the Jeff Teagues, you got the Cheryl Swoops, you got the Cheryl Reeves. You know what I'm saying? All these Cheryls, right? Mind blowing to me. So the backstory is to really get why this podcast moment blew up, and we'll get to it in a minute, and I'll show you after we read this article. You have to look at the context of Caitlin Clark's rookie season. From the moment she was drafted, she's been under a microscope, carrying away to more viewers and media attention than the league has ever seen. But all that attention has come with a level on the court physicality that has been pretty alarming, that we can say. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And it's not just tough defense, it seems to be a pattern. One talking point that has caught fire online suggests that a shocking percentage of all flagrant fouls in the WNBA this season have been committed against Caitlin Clark. While the exact number is debated, the perception is what matters. To her fans, it's not an anomaly, it's a trend. It feeds this powerful story that Clark is being targeted and that the welcome to the league treatment has crossed the line into something that feels malicious. This story was already boiling when Clark was left off the 2024 Olympic um, five on five roster. The official reason was about experience, putting the best team together, but the decision caused outrage amongst fans and the media, and they saw it as a huge missed opportunity to grow the game on a global stage. It felt like another case of the establishment gatekeeping, refusing to embrace the one player who was bringing more eyes to the sport than ever. Then came reports that Clark was considered for the 3-on-3 Olympic team, but that she was only interested in playing for the main 5-on-5 squad, preferring to focus on her WNBA season. Clark handled it all like a pro, saying it would be a motivation for the future, but for her supporters, the damage was done. The feeling of a snub combined with the on-court aggression had already laid the groundwork for a massive conflict. So why did this one podcast moment lead to an actual talk of a boycott? We'll break it down in a minute, family. I want to read this article and show you the clip, and we'll get to it because I have three main arguments people are making and let alone give you my perspective. And I want to know you guys' thoughts down in the comments below. So this article reads on the New York Times, Sue Bird to become managing director for the USA women's national team. Sources. It goes on to read, U.S. basketball will announce a major shift in its structuring on Thursday when Sue Bird is announced as the managing director for the USA women's national team for the 2028 Olympic cycle, which will take place in Los Angeles, according to two sources close to the program. Well, California, I should say. The 44-year-old Bird, who won 5 Olympic gold medals and 4 World Cups titles playing for the Team USA, will take on what is now known as the Grant Hill role on the women's side. A person with unquestioned credentials as a player at every level who is largely responsible for selecting both the player rosters and coaching staff for both the Olympic team and the World Cup team. Her hiring is a departure from a long-standing structure of using a committee to select players and coaches for national team rosters and comes on the heels of a very close call for the USA women in Paris. As financial opportunities for women grow in the sport and in marketing, USA Basketball wanted to make sure it was doing everything possible to ensure the allure of playing major international events remains strong. And a phone call from Bird is going to go a long way with players. One source close to the USA program said the announcement will come Thursday at the Nike headquarters in New York City. The USA women's national team has used a managing director for nearly 2 decades, Jerry Calagio, a four-time executive of the year in the NBA and former owner of the Phoenix Suns, served in the role from 2005 to 2021, resurrecting the men's national team from turmoil following the 2004 Olympics, in parentheses, a bronze medal after golds in 1992, 1996, and 2000. In 2021, USA Basketball named Hill as Colangelo- Colangelo's successor. Hill, one of the greatest college players who enjoyed an all-star, albeit injury-plagued, NBA career and won Olympic gold in 1996, took over for the 2023 World Cup and selected the Team USA men's squad that won gold in Paris this past summer. Hill and Colangelo before him worked hand in hand with Sean Ford, who has run day-to-day operations for the U.S. men's national team for more than 2 decades. The setup on the women's side will be the side with Bird and Brianna Weiss, who has held a role similar to Ford since 2021. This marks the second significant shift in leadership for Team USA women's program over the last several years. In 2021, Carol Kalan, who had been the national team's director since 1995, retired to take a role with FIBA, and she was succeeded by Wise, who led the women's national team through the Paris Olympic cycle, where the program won its 8th consecutive Olympic gold medal. Right. And there goes on to the article. Now I want to show you guys the clip. If you guys want to finish to read the article, you're welcome to. It is on New York Times or the New York Post. And now I want you guys to see the clip from the Bird's View podcast by Sue Bird.
But insert pictures here. I sent you these pictures after, the big, what was it? The scrum, Connecticut Sun versus Indiana Fever.
They were like
I feel like it was like the perfect depiction of New York at the start. Because you were like, no.
Yeah, I was like, yo.
You had your finger, yeah.
And then what's crazy is everybody's like, yo, you punched it in the back. And I'm like, nah, I was just like.
I know, so that's the funny part.
You got it.
Clip number 1, slide number 1, Tina going, yo.
Like, yo, chill out, watch yourself. Just watch yourself.
This is right after JC and Caitlin got into a little bit. You see Caitlin pushing, you go, yo.
Yeah,
to
just
Caitlin.
watch yourself.
Then Mabry comes in.
Yeah, Marina though.
Yeah, knocks her down. And then you see Tina go, it wasn't me. Immediately.
But yeah, I'm still like talking my shit like, yeah, just chill out.
Yo, I was crying.
I know, everybody was hitting me up.
It was that all angle you needed.
Everybody was like, yo, you took her back to Southside Jamaica, Queens.
Now, you guys may be asking, why did I read that article? Now, and this is the woman who is, because Sue Bird is supposed to be becoming the managing director for the USA women's national team. Now, if she already sees Caitlin Clark playing in the WNBA, playing for the Indiana Fever, and just regular basketball during the women's basketball season as a joke, and she's taking these hits Is she really going to be able to defend and really stand up when she's managing director for the USA women's basketball national team and really go up to bat when other players from other countries are playing Team USA, when Caitlin Clark is on it to really defend and back up her players on Team USA when it comes to the women's basketball Team USA team? I highly doubt it. And that brings suspicion, let alone that she's seeing Caitlin Clark being taking these hard hits with these passive aggressive fouls laughable, right? So I want to break it down now. So the sheer number of hard hits and flagrant fouls against Clark is impossible to ignore, is what I'm saying. And we seen it play out game after game. The shove from Kennedy Carter, the brutal screens, the constant physicality that seems to be more than just competitive fire. So when legends of the game like Sue Bird and Tina Charles are on a podcast laughing about one of the most intense examples of this, it sends a really bad message. It feels like they're validating the aggression. It suggests that this behavior isn't just tolerated, but it's a source of entertainment for the league's veterans. For the fans who feel protective of Clark, this is about a culture of disrespect that they believe is being enabled by the sport's most powerful figures. The laughter wasn't just a joke; it was proof to them that the old guard is working against her. And the decision to leave Caitlin Clark off of the 5-on-5 Olympic team was the first real flashpoint. Even though Clark was gracious about it, her huge fan base saw it as total betrayal. They argue that leaving the most popular player in women's basketball off the team was a move rooted in jealousy and the desire to keep the spotlight on the established stars. The argument wasn't that Clark was the absolute best player right now, but that her effect on the game's growth made her essential for the Olympics. Now, connect that to Sue Bird. Bird isn't just a retired legend with a podcast. She is hugely an influential figure with USA basketball. The fact that she was laughing about a fight involving Clark, the player at the center of the whole Olympic controversy, feels incredibly problematic to a lot of people, and it makes the worst fears of Clark supporters seem true, that the people with the influence over future national teams have a bias against her. And it creates a situation where fans feel like there's no way Clark is going to get fair treatment. If the legends are laughing at you and they're also helping pick the teams, what do you do? This is where the boycott idea really gets its steam. It's framed as the only real power Clark has against a system that seems stacked against her. Where is the league in all of this? That's the question a lot of fans are asking. Sure, fines and flagrant fouls are handed out after the fact, but there's a strong feeling that the refs on the court aren't doing enough to protect Clark in the moment. When a player gets shouldered to the ground away from the ball and the league's response feels quiet, it just makes people angrier. The anger gets turned up to 11 when icons like Bird and Charles seem to treat these incidents like a joke. And it makes it look like the league office and its most respected veterans aren't taking the issues seriously. This apparent lack of action makes a boycott seem like a logical next step. Then thinking then thinking is that what the thinking is, I should say, if the refs won't protect her and the legends won't respect her, then maybe the only way to make them listen is to take her talent and power off the sport's biggest stage, the Olympics. And it's a drastic idea, but it comes from a place of feeling helpless, a belief that the system is failing its biggest star. Now, to be fair, there's another side to this. A lot of people think the whole situation is being blown away out of proportion. The argument is that the WNBA has always been a physical league. Legends like Lisa Leslie and Cheryl Swoops took a beat in their whole careers. This isn't some special treatment for Caitlin Clark. This is just about what it takes to make it in a professional basketball. From this point of view, the hard fouls aren't some conspiracy, they are a test. Every rookie, especially one with this much hype, has to prove they can handle the physicality. These people would argue that Clark supporters, many of whom are new to the WNBA, just aren't used to how the league is played and seeing dirty plays where there's only tough defense. And they'll also say that Sue Bird and Tina Charles were just having a lighthearted chat on a podcast. They weren't promoting violence, they were telling a story from a competitor's perspective. In the heat of a game, players talk trash and get physical, and laughing about it later is just part of the culture. They might even argue that Clark herself can be dramatic and gets into it on the court just as much as anyone else. The idea of a boycott from this side is a ridiculous or reaction, and it would be a selfish move that disrespect the players who earned their spots on Team USA and would probably hurt Clark's own career more than it would help. So it all comes back to the big question, though. Should Caitlin Clark actually boycott Team USA? A boycott would be the most powerful statement she could possibly make. It would be a global headline. It will force USA basketball, the WNBA, and the entire sports world to deal with the issues of physicality and respect immediately. And it would be a huge show of force, proving that she knows her own value and won't be part of a system that she feels disrespect her. The upside is clear. It would be a power move that could actually lead to real change in how the league protects its players and how veterans treat the next generation. But the risks are huge. A boycott could make her look spoiled and entitled, and it could burn bridges with her peers and the very organization she hopes to one day lead. And it would mean giving up her own dream of winning an Olympic gold medal. There's a real chance it could backfire, painting her as someone who isn't a team player and puts herself above the sport. She could lose the support of more casual fans and media members who would see it as going way too far. She'll be turning down an honor that millions of athletes dream of, and that's a choice that can hang over her for the rest of her career. So this is one of the most complicated and heated situations in sports right now. On one side, you have a problem who is dealing with a level of physicality, physical play that feels completely off the charts. On the other, you have a league with a long history of being tough and competitive. The podcast moment with Sue Bird and Tina Charles was the flashpoint, the moment all that simmering tension boiled over into a public show of what felt like major disrespect. So the road ahead for Caitlin Clark is tricky. Does she keep taking the high road, letting her game do the talking and just hoping that her talent eventually wins her the respect she deserves? Or does she make a stand using her incredible platform to force a conversation that many think is long overdue? There's no easy answer here. And that's why I have to ask you, what do you think? Would a boycott be justified protest against a system that feels broken? Or would it be a huge mistake that could hurt her legacy? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you want to stay on top of all the drama and analysis in the WNBA, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. But what I want to say from my opinion is, I think and I believe, walking in faith, that those who endure shall endure to the end. And eventually there will be the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that Caitlin Clark needs to just stay her course, continue to take the high road, be the leader through all this adversity. Because think about it. The more adversity she faces and she takes the higher road, the more successful she becomes anyway. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Peace.